Did you know that the majority of the answers that you are looking for outside of yourself, through other people, on the internet, in blogs, and scrolling through your phone can be found within yourself? My friend, you are born with an incredibly powerful tool, and that is your intuition. But you're taught to not trust yourself, to go outside of yourself for answers, to seek validation. And that voice, that inner knowing, that gut feeling seems to feel maybe not so strong anymore. That's why today's Powerback episode is all about helping you to relearn how to trust yourself, to pause, get quiet, and go inward, and to know that your feelings are enough. If you want to relearn how to trust yourself again, download Powerback episode 173 on your favorite podcast player or at thegutsypodcast.com. Before we dig into that, though, the last time I ran the Mindfuckery workshop, a huge portion of it was indeed about relearning how to trust yourself. And I'm very excited to let you know that the next workshop is scheduled for the week of September 11th. This will be an evening workshop running from 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and registration is open. One of the most impactful takeaways from the last class was that everyone was able to get to the root of the problem, to rediscover what that was and how it's showing up in their life. And now they're all making conscious decisions that have literally transformed their life and their business. So if you're ready to get out of your head and start taking action on the things that matter, go to LauraAura.com/learn and grab a seat in the next workshop. Until that magnificent party happens, we're here together today to relearn how to trust yourself. Look, your body, your mind is like a compass, and it is forever trying to guide and teach you. But like I mentioned, there's been a bajillion different reasons why the world, circumstances, situations, people, past crap has taught you that your thought, your feeling, your gut instinct is not enough. I kind of get this visual of a speaker sitting in the middle of a room. And all of these things that have happened in and around your life is like a piece of clothing that gets tossed over top of the speaker. Now, the speaker's pretty loud, right? Like it's bumping. You know what's playing. But with each life circumstance, with each situation, with each moment, another piece of clothing gets tossed on top of it, until eventually we have just this enormous pile of clothing on top of the speaker. And while you can kind of hear it faintly in the background, it's not as clear and crisp as it once was. Now, just because the clothing is on top of the speaker doesn't mean that it's not playing music anymore. It just means that it's a little bit harder to hear it. Now, what kind of further makes this a little bit complicated is that we don't stop long enough to even notice that all of this shit is on top of our speaker. Metaphorically speaking, the speaker is your intuition. So we get caught in routine, we get caught in all the things that we should do, we get caught in responsibility, and we don't even realize that that intuitive feeling inside of us is not nearly as loud as it once was. Now, I'll also tell you that when you are truly meant to hear or feel something, the universe is always going to deliver, because your intuition often starts as this very soft, gentle voice or nudge or feeling or thought or like passing by, what was that all about? When this is truly something, it's the right time in the right space, that voice will get louder. That nudge turns into a poke, turns into a jab with the elbow, turns into kind of shaking you a little bit, turns into like, hey, I'm kind of yelling at you now, turns into jumping up and down in front of you, turns into screaming in your face, turns into punching you square in the fucking head. Your intuition wants you to take the path of least resistance, but our human body and our subconscious mind wants to take us on a windy, turny fucking journey. Our human self complicates it. And sometimes we have to walk the journey to gather the information that we need to know better for the next time, or to get the things that we need for the next chapter. Your truest power is in the pause and in the reconnection. It's in the listening. It's in the noticing. It's in the, okay, while all this life stuff is on top of my intuition, it's still there. It always has been and always will be a part of who I am. and is a powerful tool to make decisions. So, what I'm recommending today is that we start to reconnect with self, to start to hear yourself again. And slowly but surely, each piece of clothing or cloth or whatever that crap is that got piled on top of your intuition, one at a time starts to go away. It gets shifted off of you. Your intuition gets louder, it gets stronger, it gets more clear. It's really truly like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. The stronger it gets, the more impact that it has. So one of the things that I often hear is like, okay, Laura, how do I know what my intuition is? There's a lot of shit going on in my head. I'm like thinking about stuff all the time. I don't know if that's me or something else. Do I feel like that's what I should do? But now I'm trying to make it my intuition. Like, see how our physical bodies and our subconscious minds want to be like, could we complicate this? See, your intuition is often very simple, but we don't believe that things can be that simple. Now, I'm not saying that these intuitive hits of what to do next always equate to a simple action. I'll give you an example for some context. So, over the years of building my business, I've worked with a lot of different types of people. And sometimes they come into my world and it feels maybe like the right fit at the beginning, but then I get that feeling. And if you work with customers or clients, you probably know what I'm talking about. I can't quite put my finger on it. It doesn't make sense on paper. If I say it out loud, people are like, what? But my intuition is saying, this is not the right person for you. So that intuitive hit, that feeling is very clear to me, but the action that supports it is not always easy. But your intuition wants the highest good for you. It is guiding you down the path to protect you or to help you learn something. So now it's up to me to get into the present moment, to get into my conscious mind where I'm like truly like aware of what's going on. I can feel that this doesn't feel right. I'm just getting all the signs and signals, which we're going to talk about here in a second. Now it comes down to my choice. Am I going to choose to go against that, take this client on anyway and work with them? Or am I going to choose to politely decline and protect my energy and say, I'm going to trust what I'm feeling? I can almost 100% guarantee you that if you choose to go against your intuition, you're going to go down a road that's not awesome. Now, again, sometimes we need to go down that road to learn. It's an opportunity to say like, hey, I felt that feeling. I just kind of knew. I fucking knew, but I did it anyway. And here's what happened. And you know what? That's okay. It's an opportunity for you to learn, and it's an opportunity for you to see just how incredibly strong your intuition is and how it's guiding you. Now that you know, you can choose differently next time. But when you trust your intuition and you say, okay, I hear you. This doesn't make sense to anyone, but I just know and I'm going to honor it. That, my friend, creates capacity for you to receive the right opportunities, for the right person to come into your life, for the right connection to come in, for the right client to be like, hey, I could use you to do this. Do you have time and space? And now you can be like, yep, I sure do. You see, when you're junked up in life and in your business through the decisions of not trusting yourself, from going against your gut instincts, you don't have nearly as much capacity to receive the right things. Trusting yourself is guiding you down your aligned path. This is where all of the success that you're looking for, the peace, the excitement, the connections, the opportunities, all of those are on your aligned path. And sometimes we veer off the path and go against ourselves, and that's okay. This is an opportunity to remind you that you have the answers. So, how do you know the difference between an intuitive yes or an intuitive no? How do you know the difference between, yeah, I should keep moving forward, or maybe not so much? This is a little exercise that I like to call bricks and butterflies. Now, I also want to mention that everyone feels intuitive stuff in different places. Typically, there are three key spaces: your head, your heart, or your gut. So sometimes you may feel things in your head or hear something. Sometimes you may feel something in your chest. or you may hear or feel in your gut. Now, this isn't to say that maybe you feel or hear it in all three at different times. Maybe you hear all of them at the same time. Maybe it's different for each scenario. Hell, maybe you feel it in your left fucking pinky. The cool thing about intuition is it is 100% unique to you. No two peoples feel or hear it the same. And it's really about learning your own brand of intuition. So these bricks and butterflies are indicative of the feeling that you feel or hear. So let me give you a real life example here. When that client approached me and I had that gut feeling. I'm usually a gut girly. Okay. Like my gut does not lie. It is loud as fuck. I've been strengthening it though for, I think, decades at this point. I do also feel things in my chest that tend to be more emotional. And I can also tell that it is not my intuition when I start thinking. When my mind is going 100 miles an hour, that is not my intuition. So just in case that is true for you, just sliding that across the table. So when this client came into my life, I had the gut feeling. This is what I compare to bricks. When it's an intuitive no, like the universe is like, nope, cut bait, get out, turn around. This is not for you. Please leave, exit stage left. Bricks are often a deep, sinking, heavy feeling. Like something's not quite right, but you can't put your finger on it. And that's the thing about intuition too, is like, it doesn't need to make sense to anybody other than you. In this moment, I'm like, it's stupid to not take on a client, right? Like this is somebody that's coming into my world. They want to work with me. Like, why wouldn't I do that? Okay. You see how that happens? That's my mind taking over. That's my subconscious programming saying like, hey, this is wrong to not take on a client. What are you doing? And this is where we fight ourselves, right? These subconscious programs, this conditioning, these habit loops that we have want to fight your intuition like it's their fucking job, because it, in a way, kind of is. But it is our conscious mind, our higher self's job to protect ourselves by trusting the thoughts, the feelings, and the behaviors that guide us to the things that we actually want. So when I'm feeling this feeling, I'm like, these are bricks. I don't feel good about this. I just have that feeling like this is not the right thing to do. My mind is starting to fight me, which kind of further proves my case. And now it's up to me to make a decision. So notice first, where do you typically feel or hear your intuition? And second, is it a deep, sinking, heavy feeling? Is it like that feeling where something's just not quite right? You can't put your finger on it. It can't even really be explained. It just doesn't feel good. That, my friend, trust. Trust it all day long, because that is the honest truth. Now, in this scenario, and I have gone down this road before, my friends, is when I was like, you know what? I'll just give it the benefit of the doubt. Now, that can't be true. That's ridiculous. Or in some situations, the money is good or it makes sense financially to do this. So I should just silence that and do it anyway. Want to know how that turns out? It turns out exactly the way that you would expect it to. It's usually the clients or situations or opportunities that are a giant pain in the ass, where things just don't work out right. Everything feels like an uphill climb. It doesn't matter what you do. It's not really like satisfying the situation. It feels painful every step of the way. And if you're feeling that, it's usually that for the client as well. So it's like doing both of you a service at the beginning of honoring that these bricks are telling me this is heavy. This is not the right thing for either one of us. Now, on the other side are butterflies, intuitive butterflies. This is your intuitive yes. Green light, all systems go. Now, the funny thing about butterflies is it's not always like a super awesome feeling. I equate it to riding a roller coaster where you're super excited, but also feel like you could either vomit or shit your pants all simultaneously. Now, sometimes the butterflies are soft and gentle and they do feel good, but especially when we're making big movement, especially when we're taking a gutsy risk, especially when we are getting closer to our truly aligned self. More often than not, it's going to feel like you want to hurl. Butterflies are this light, airy, excited nervousness type of feeling. It's like you feel super giddy and also maybe you want to hide under the covers at the same time, but you keep poking your head back up. This is your intuition's way of saying, yes, please do this. This is the thing. This gets us closer. This opens a door. This presents an opportunity. This will call in a connection. This will give you the feeling. This is going to support you financially. Something great is about to fucking happen. Will you trust me in this moment? Now, in a similar situation, when a client comes through and I feel like I'm about to like jump out of my chair with excitement, like I can hardly contain myself. I usually get red up on my chest. My stomach is in like all kinds of jambles. It's like I'm crawling out of my skin. That is such a yes, absolutely. And working with those clients, those are dream clients, my friend. Those are the ones that are perfectly aligned. Those are the ones that are showing up and doing the work. Those are the ones that are enjoyable as fuck to work with, that are appreciative humans. These are the ones that are referring more people like them my way and your way, all because you said no to the misaligned one, which created space for this new client to come in. And now everything feels fucking great. Like, why wouldn't I trust myself? But that's where it comes back to the crap that you have been handed and taught. You know, it is incredibly gutsy. I mean, incredibly gutsy to trust your gut and act accordingly. You have this magnificent tool inside of you every single day. And are you going to get it right 100% of the time? No, you're a fucking human being. And let's be honest, the subconscious mind loves to drive. And sometimes it takes us on a bit of a bumpy road. But really honoring ourselves and being like, you know what? That didn't turn out the way that I was hoping or expecting. But what can I learn from this situation? Looking back now, did I hear or feel something within myself that maybe I silenced? Was there a thought or an indication or a direction that I passed over? Okay, now I'm aware of that. So now I have more tools in my tool belt to help me make a better or different decision next time. And it's all about doing this over and over and over again. That, my friend, is how you strengthen your intuition. And that is how you learn to trust yourself again. And when you start to trust yourself, the opportunities show up. There's just a peace in your heart and in your soul. The right people enter your world. The right business opportunities show up literally out of nowhere. You start to protect your peace, your knowing, your energy. It's really all about coming home to yourself and honoring that your truth is enough. So what if you started to play with this a little bit today? What if you started to notice, where do I feel my intuition? What does it feel or sound like to me? And what if I chose to make decisions from that space today? Watch and see how things start to transform right in front of you. If this is making the hair on your ass stand up and you're like, yup, I'm ready for this. I'm telling you, the Mindfuckery workshop will rock your world in the best of ways. We practice learning to trust ourselves, to hear ourselves, to unpack that subconscious stuff I've been talking about this whole time, to get to the root of the problem and the challenge, and then know how to move forward consciously, to know how to shift your behavior, your thoughts, and your habits. Because, my friend, you have rediscovered who you are and what it is that you actually want. Grab your seat to the workshop at LauraAura.com/learn, and I'm going to see you very, very soon. On next Tuesday's episode of the Gutsy Podcast, we are talking about embodying your next level. What does that look like? What is that for you? And how do you step into it? Until then, connect with me on social. You can find me on Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram using @thatLauraAura. And as always, until I see you next time, stay gutsy.